Another way in which the government could interfere with or intervene in markets with prices is to impose a price ceiling, to set a maximum price. And these are slightly more common than you might think. They're not always set by governments. So if you think about things like concert tickets or tickets for big sporting events like the Olympics or kind of the World Cup final or something like that, what we know is that there's always far more demand than there is supply. There are far more people who want to go and watch the final of the 100 metres than there are tickets available. But if we look at what that means in supply and demand terms, effectively that's the supply of tickets to watch the finals of the 100 metres. I don't know, there may be 30,000 seats in the stadium. Demand is out here. So at the price that's chosen by the International Olympics Committee, then there's massive amounts of excess demand. There are 300,000 people who want to go and watch it at a price of $100, but there are only 30,000 tickets available. In other words, the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, has chosen not to set the equilibrium price. They could have made sure there was no excess demand, by charging, $10,000 a ticket. But they don't do that. So why don't they do it? And the answer is that they want to make sport accessible to all. They don't want only people who can pay $10,000 a ticket to be able to access it. But as a result, that creates inefficiencies in the system. What it means is that instead of allocating via prices, we have to use some form of rationing system, for example. So in the case of the Olympics, there's normally a ballot where you put your name in and maybe get lucky and have a ticket. But what we're doing is we're setting the price below the free market equilibrium. So hence there is a price ceiling. And the goal, so we're looking at maximum prices. And what we're saying here is the goal is to try, in theory, to protect consumers. And you see this in a variety of settings. So particularly, as we say, sports events, concerts. But the one way you hear about it, in the case of Venezuela, for virtually everything. But the place in which you're most likely to come across it is in housing. And this is the idea that governments sometimes say, we want to set a maximum rent. A maximum rent that landlords can charge. And the reason for this is that housing, particularly in the UK, is really, really expensive. And in lots of big cities around the world, rents are really, really high. And in lots of big cities, governments have said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to try and ensure a fair rent. We're going to set a maximum rent, that landlords are able to set. And the idea is we're going to try and help people to be able to afford to live in, to live in the city, people for low-income groups to be able to have somewhere nice to live, and to be able to get to work and so on. So the idea is to protect low-income groups, that's the theory, by lowering the price so that they can access affordable housing. That's the theory. It all goes horribly wrong and it's a disaster, but that's what's supposed to happen. So if you wanted to show this on a diagram, what we'd say then is that's the quantity of rented accommodation, that's the price, which is the rent per month. And in a free market, there's the supply, there's the demand. In a free market, perhaps we're looking at a rent of $1,000 per week or something. And the government says, well, I don't like that. I don't think that's fair. There's lots of low-income families who can't afford to pay $1,000 a month, and therefore and therefore we're going to set a maximum rent at $600 per week or month or whatever. So what's the effect of that? Well, firstly, what happens is, of course, lots more people decide that they would like to rent accommodation. More people can now afford it. So demand rises, let's call that 100 units, doesn't it? Demand now rises to 130 people a week who are looking for rented accommodation. But of course, at a lower rent, some landlords, some owners of property, they're going to say, well, I can't be bothered. It's not worth it. It's not worth the hassle. Of making, repairing things and so on and so forth. So what happens is that supply contracts, supply falls, yeah, to a level of, say, 80 properties a month. So, therefore, what we've got is we've got excess demand of 50 units. So, instead of solving homelessness, for example, what you've actually done is you've created more people looking for accommodation than there is accommodation available. You might have made things worse. Some people, of course, are very happy. There are 80 families here, yeah, who are very happy because instead of paying $1,000 a month, yeah, a week or whatever, they're now only paying $600. So for those groups, yeah, these people here, yeah, consumer surplus is higher just for those ones. But these people don't have anywhere to live. These people are particularly unhappy because they used to have somewhere to live and now, now they've got nowhere. Yeah, they've got to go and live with their parents or something. Yeah, these people aren't very happy either, yeah, because they heard about these low rents, yeah, and they came looking for property and they couldn't find it. So some groups gain, yeah, there are some groups who get lower rents, but there are lots of people who can no longer find anywhere to live. So, is this a good thing? Well, it might be if these people were low-income groups, but there's no guarantee that they are. Yeah, as a landlord, you can rent it to whoever you like. So sometimes what will happen is that people with money will say, "Look, I'll pay you $600, yeah, the official price, and I'll give you some extra money if I can live here." Or it might be that as a landlord, yeah, you prefer young professional couples because you think they're less likely to damage your property. But they tend to be high-income groups. So there's no guarantee that the people who get the cheap housing are actually poor people. And there are other consequences as well, yeah, which is that, of course, yeah, from producers' point of view, producer surplus has been reduced. Producer surplus used to be all of that, but now it's only that. Effectively, producers are now making less profit. Yeah, they've lost producer surplus of, yeah, the whole of that area there. And if they're making less profit, well, they're less likely to invest in their properties. Yeah, the quality is going to fall. Yeah, the quality of kitchens is going to fall. The quality of, of paintwork, the quality of bathrooms is going to fall because they're not going to invest. Or maybe what they'll do is divide it in two. So one of the dangers, yeah, is that there's going to be a reduction in quality as well, yeah. On top of that, it's likely that some of these producers, they'll go just off the grid. Yeah, so what they'll do is they'll rent their property illegally to desperate people. And then those people have no rights at all. So, essentially, it tends not to work is the problem, yeah, because we get, we get black markets, we get a reduction in the overall supply of housing onto the rented market, we get a reduction in quality, yeah, and we tend to get inefficiencies in terms of you have to allocate these resources in a different way because the price mechanism is no longer working. So in the end, these things tend not to achieve what it is that they were setting out to do.